Hello and welcome. My name is Amber, and today I wanted to address a very important question, one that was on my mind for a long time, and I've also been asked this several times as well, of why do we exhale when we're doing a pelvic floor lift and inhale when we're releasing the pelvic floor? And this is a question that was really at the root of my entire postpartum journey because I got so many conflicting advices on it. So I started to do my own self-study and reviewing anatomy and talking to physiotherapists, particular pelvic health physiotherapists, also to yoga teachers and instructors from different lineages. And I got a whole range of advices. And it was finally when I started to really incorporate the pelvic floor exercises myself that intuitively I started to go more towards the path where we inhale to release the pelvic floor and exhale to lift. And that's not to say that there's anything incorrect about doing it differently, but there's just different aspects and a different perspective for why you would practice that way. So I want to share a bit about why I'm practicing the way that I do, and that's because I'm following the physiological process of our breath and how our core is functioning together. And so we know that this is our core four. It's our canister, basically, or our piston team, as Julie Wiebe calls it. We have our respiratory diaphragm right under the rib cage. We have our pelvic floor at the outlet of the pelvis. We have our transversus abdominis, the corset muscles, and right around the spine we have the spinal multifidi muscles. And all of these muscles work together as part of our deep core system or part of our core stabilizing system, and they function together with the breath. And importantly, the respiratory diaphragm and the pelvic floor, they function in concordance with one another, in harmony, to help regulate and control our intra-abdominal pressure that occurs when we're breathing. And so we know if we just look at the way they function by themselves without any effort from us, that when we inhale, the diaphragm spreads and releases, it descends, the pelvic floor receives all of that intra-abdominal pressure and also releases and spreads itself. And as we exhale, the respiratory diaphragm lifts back into place and the pelvic floor follows. And so they have this continual balance where they're both like trampolines working together and functioning together. And in this way, it can help regulate the internal pressure that occurs in the abdominal region. Because imagine if the respiratory diaphragm starts to descend on the inhale and pushes all the abdominal organs out, if the pelvic floor stayed contracted and lifted here, you would build up a lot of intra-abdominal pressure. And in particular for women that have diastasis or hernias or even prolapse, then this can be quite negatively impactful, can build up a lot of pressure there. Now, while there might be other reasons for doing a pelvic floor lift on an inhale, I want to talk today about why we are doing a lift on an exhale. And it's really why I'm choosing to practice that way. And it's really because I'm following this physiological process that's already occurring. So when we inhale, the pelvic floor is receiving the intra-abdominal pressure as the diaphragm descends. That's a great time to release the pelvic floor, to allow it to spread, to allow it to relax. And then as we exhale, the pelvic floor and diaphragm are already lifting. That's their natural momentum already. So that's why I love to place the effort lift here. So we can say lifting through the pelvic floor, maybe through the perineal lift. And as you inhale, we release. And as you exhale, you're lifting. Okay, and it's as simple as that for me, that we're just following the functional process that's already taking place physiologically. I find that when you can attune your pelvic floor exercises with the breath in this way, that it can also really help to balance the pelvic floor and core functionality pretty quickly. And also it can speed postpartum recovery because this is already following the natural way that our body is functioning. So we have that momentum that's there. I would love to hear your comments on this. I would love to hear from the other perspective as well, as why some people are lifting the pelvic floor on an inhale and releasing on an exhale. I know from some of the yogic traditions that this has a lot to do with the practice of mula bandha and the control of energy and prana in the body. So there's definitely different reasons for practicing in a different way, as well as even incorporating paradoxical breathing, which is something for another topic. So there's no right or wrong here, but I think when you're practicing with the pelvic floor, it's good to understand why you are doing what you're doing, and what is the specific reason, and what are the things you need to look out for when you are doing these practices. So I wish you all the best on your pelvic health journey. Leave some comments below for me if you like, and let's continue this conversation. Take care.